Okay, so I'm officially blown away. You would have heard about AI creating images, writing text, and even getting very, 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 very good at coding. But Google's latest release, NotebookLM, has just changed the game in my perspective. Listen to this.
All right, ready to dig into this whole idea of finding business inspiration in unexpected places.
Absolutely, let's do it.
So picture this. It's 1966. The Beatles, at the top of their game, release Rubber Soul.
Classic.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, great album, but what's the business angle?
Right, where's the connection?
Well, that album wasn't just a hit. It actually sparked this creative rivalry with the Beach Boys, Brian Wilson in particular.
Ah, pet sounds.
So that recording was entirely AI. The nuances in how they spoke, the pauses, the breaks, all of that was completely generated from an article that I wrote. So I wrote this article, Finding Inspiration in Business from Music, and I posted it the other day. So all I did was that I posted up into notebooklm.google.com that particular article. It's gone through, it's done a whole lot of information about it and all the rest. And I generated, by pressing a button, that particular podcast. Now, I've done two of them. The second one I'll just play here, and it's done it completely different the second time.
Inspiration in the most unexpected places.
And we're taking our cue from an article called Finding Inspiration in Business, Learning from Others, just like musicians do.
Okay, so just like musicians, I like where this is going. Lay it on us.
Well, think about it. Musicians, they're always drawing inspiration from all over, right? Different genres, different artists, even different...
So she is having a conversation. If you were not given any clue that that was a that wasn't real people, you would have no idea. Now, obviously, at the moment, this is just a test, just a release from Google, but it absolutely blew my tiny little mind. So let's think about this. Let's think about this from a scenario of a content creator. Now, if we're in the business on LinkedIn of making our own voice heard, then uploading content and being our natural, believable self, that's fine. We want to use our face, our voice. And over time, obviously, there will be, and it's already happening, there will be the ability to be able to take our voice and put it to a script and just generate things like this. But I'm not necessarily worried about that. What I am worried about, and you're starting to see it, and well, not starting to see it, it's all over the place in YouTube and places like that, where content is just spooled up and it sounds, at the moment, a little bit robotic. I see it with my kids all the time, flicking through YouTube and just getting stories and articles and all the rest. And it's actually used a lot in tech podcasts or tech news online as well, where there's just stories which are clearly from a script and chucked into YouTube. But this one in particular has me really standing up and taking notice because of the nuances in the way that the people are speaking, because of the conversational way in which they're engaging with the content. And it's from an article which was written in a way which is not how they are talking. The article was written in my voice, but they're talking about it like they're critiquing the article. It's absolutely insane. And it really is a very, very good indication of how we are heading in this world. You need to be aware of it. Have a play with it, by all means, notebooklm.google.com. And I'll actually upload the article audio as well, the article and the audio as well, so that you can do a comparison. But I find it absolutely fascinating. It is the tip of the iceberg. And to be honest, I can't wait to think of what's coming next. Scares and excites me. Absolutely incredible. Let's just finish off with a little bit more.
Different eras, and that's what we're talking about today.
So instead of getting stuck in our own little industry bubbles,
We need to break free and open ourselves up to a whole world of inspiration.
I am so ready for this.
Good, because the article kicks off with a pretty legendary example, the Beatles and the Beach Boys.
Oh yeah, that's a classic. But I always thought of it as, a rivalry.
Well, rivalry isn't really the right word for it. It was more like this amazing creative feedback loop. Think about the Beach Boys album, Pet Sounds.
Amazing album.
Right. It was revolutionary, unconventional instruments, these intricate harmonies. It was so innovative. And the Beatles, they were
Okay, so I'm going to talk about this. So that information was obviously not in my article, but the AI has taken reviews, I guess, of Pet Sounds and introduced that into the way that the podcast talking. Let's keep going.
completely blown away.
Okay, but how does that translate to like the business world?
It's about recognizing that even your competitors can be sources of inspiration. It's not about copying, but about figuring out what they're doing well and why it's working.
So analyze the competition, don't just envy them.
Exactly. What needs
So there was even, he said competition. So little mistakes, and I wonder if this is coded as well, the little mistakes that we would say when we're talking, instead of saying competition. I don't know.
needs are they fulfilling? What can you learn from their approach? This goes way beyond just
There was a breath. She took a breath when she spoke. You heard the breath, like she's leaning into the microphone.
looking at your direct competitors, though. This article talks about how important it is to look outside your industry bubble.
So you're saying the best business ideas could come from like a five-star hotel, a jazz band. Give me an example.
I'm saying, imagine a tech startup taking cues from a five-star hotel. Think about it. What if they applied those principles of creating a seamless, luxurious customer experience to their digital product?
I never would have thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so we're finding inspiration.
The conversational elements of this is absolutely insane. The way that and I've been using these voice tools for a while. There's been a number of them out for ages, and you hear them on TikTok and you hear them in a whole lot of places. But the pausing, the speeding up of the of the voice, you can actually imagine two people sitting there in a podcast studio talking to each other when you're listening to this.
Inspiration in unexpected places, like looking at how other industries do things.
She said, "Yep, like cut them off."
But how do we actually use that inspiration without just straight up copying?
Right, because nobody wants to be a copycat. It's about adaptation, not imitation. The article uses this great analogy. It's like dissecting a hit song. You figure out what makes it work, the melody, the hook, the lyrics, and then you use...
She's leaning into it with excitement. She's like, "Hey, well, this is the point of the article. It's exactly what someone would do in a podcast." Again, keep in mind, this is not real people. These are not real people. This is just generated audio.
use that knowledge to compose your own masterpiece.
I like that. So it's about understanding the underlying principles.
Pause.
Not just mimicking the surface level, kind of like when, you were saying I had that experience in advertising.
Yeah, you were telling me about that small brand that was stuck in a comparison trap with their biggest competitor.
Oh, totally. They were so focused on what their competitor was doing that they...
So what they've done there is that they've taken an example that I gave in the article of something that actually happened, and they've claimed it as their own. So she's saying, "Hey, you were telling me about, that's not what happened. That the article is not about that." But they've made it like it's part of the content.
completely lost sight of their own unique strengths. It was like they were trying to be something they weren't, and it just wasn't working.
And didn't you say that you helped them break free by looking at a totally different industry? Something about a customer loyalty program?
Exactly. We were analyzing this retail giant's customer loyalty program, and it suddenly clicked. Their program was all about building a sense of community, rewarding engagement, and offering personalized experiences.
So you took those core principles and figured out how to apply them to your client's situation.
Precisely. We helped them create a loyalty program that was tailored to their specific industry and target audience.
Yeah.
And it worked like a charm. It shifted their entire mindset from how can we beat the competition?
Even phrases like "it worked like a charm," the natural language elements that you would use in an actual it worked like a charm. It's just throwaway conversational English.
To how can we be...
Actually, sorry, pause that. It's English at the moment. This could be easily converted into as many languages as we actually desire. As many languages with the same inflection, the same conversation, probably, I would imagine, even instead of works like a charm, there might be something in Chinese, for example, which is the equivalent of it works like a charm. It would be able to take that and put that into Chinese, or whatever language it's going to be, and build up it that way.
Be the best version of ourselves.
See, that's what this whole inspiration thing is all about. It's about recognizing that brilliance can come from anywhere. And it's our job to be open to it, to dissect it, and to find those golden nuggets that we can use to fuel our own creativity.
It's about evolving, not copying. And you know what's even cooler? This whole inspiration cycle doesn't stop with us. We find inspiration, we create something amazing, and then we have the potential to inspire someone else.
Absolutely. It creates this incredible ripple effect of creativity and innovation.
I'll just show you the article. So this is the article I wrote, and it's bullet pointed. It's got headlines and all the rest. I've got a playlist. I actually haven't heard the rest of this recording. We'll see if it talks about the playlist at the end. But that's the article. So it's not a long article at all, but it's generated an 8-minute podcast.
Your success story could be the spark that ignites someone else's big idea. But with so much potential inspiration out there, where do we even begin? The article had some interesting tips on that.
Yeah, they had that section called, what was it? Inspiration is everywhere, just like music. Something like that.
Exactly. And they had these 4 key points, remember? Like the first one was paying attention to your competitors.
Right, which sounds kind of counterintuitive, but you're saying it's more about seeing them as a source of information, not the enemy.
But think of it like this. They're in the game with you for a reason. They're doing something right, connecting with your target audience in a way that's working. Your job is to figure out what that is. Maybe they've mastered a particular marketing channel, or maybe they've tapped into a customer need that you haven't.
Okay, that makes sense. What was next? Explore different genres. What does that even mean in a business context?
It means thinking outside your industry box. Just like a musician might blend jazz with rock to create something totally new, you can look to other industries for inspiration. Imagine you're a software company looking to improve your user experience.
I'm hearing this for the first time. This
I'm
is
with you.
excellent.
Have you ever thought about looking at how a company like Disney designs its theme parks?
Disney. Wow, I never would have thought of that.
Okay, so
But it's true. Disney is all about creating these immersive experiences.
Exactly. They've mastered craft.
So it's brought in a completely different scenario than I wrote about in the article. Suddenly we've gone to Disney. Didn't write about that in the article. Wasn't, and the article's more about music, but let's listen and see what they say.
Crowd management, they design intuitive layouts, and they're amazing storytellers. Those principles can absolutely be translated to the digital world to create a more engaging and user-friendly software.
I'm starting to see it. So we've got our competitors. We're looking at other industries. What else?
This one might surprise you. The article talks about looking to the past.
Here we
Think
go.
about it. There's a reason why we still listen to music from decades ago. Those classics resonated for a reason, and they continue to inspire new generations of musicians. Same goes for the business world.
So you're saying we can learn from the successes and even the failures of businesses that came before us.
Absolutely. History can be a goldmine of inspiration. Study how businesses in the past overcame challenges, adapted to change, and created groundbreaking products and services. You might be surprised by what you uncover.
This is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got competitors, other industries, the past.
So the thing which I'm loving here is that it's taken my article and it's actually added genuine content which is beneficial. I hadn't thought about Disney. Disney's a very, very good example of how a very successful business has borrowed from other industries, and you can borrow from Disney. It's just this cycle. So it's making the content that I've created a lot richer than what it was before. And one of the things which I just wanted to make a point of is that we read a lot, and reading's great, but often people don't have time to read screeds. Even I don't know when the last time you read an article was, but probably not relatively recently. Whereas audio is one of those entertainment or education facilities which we have access to a lot more. Whether we're driving, whether we're working out, whether we're just relaxing at home and listening to something, audio is a type of thing which is just easily accessible. So taking content and creating a podcast as easily as this is an exceptional use of the technology. Let's go back to the sound of it.
Past, what's the final piece of this inspiration puzzle?
It's all about tuning in to the world around you. Global trends, cultural shifts, emerging technologies are constantly evolving, and they all hold valuable clues for innovation.
So we've covered a ton of ground here. We've talked about finding inspiration in competitor strategies, different industries, even looking back at history.
It's doing a wrap up. So we're looking back at the content which was talked about. We don't have to think about it. But if I was doing a podcast, I'd be like, okay, what's next on the thing? Okay, now I'm going to do a wrap up. And you got to think, okay, what do we talk about?
For those golden nuggets. It's clear that staying curious and in tune with the world can spark those light bulb moments. But with all this focus on external inspiration, how do we make sure our own unique voice shines through? How do we own our creations?
Ah, the million-dollar question. And it's something the article dives into. It emphasizes that while drawing inspiration is key, it's your unique perspective and how you execute that truly set your work apart.
It's like we got all these amazing ingredients, right? But we have to be the chefs who know how to blend them to create something original, something delicious, something that has our signature on it.
Exactly. Inspiration is that initial spark. But it's your own vision, your experiences, your creative instincts that transform it into something special. Your unique voice is the driving force.
That makes a lot of sense. So we can be inspired by countless things, but it's our own creativity that takes to the next level.
Again, because just the way that the way that he is reacting to her comments naturally with those runs, with that faster, slower, it's blowing my mind.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up, the article ended on a cool note. It mentioned this Spotify playlist for inspiration and asked readers to pinpoint that one song or artist that always gets their creative gears turning. What about you? Anything come to mind?
Oh, there are so many. But if I had to pick just one, I'd say it's expert speaker names their song or artist. The energy, the creativity, the way they push boundaries.
That went a little bit
It always gets me thinking differently, you know?
Love it. Hey, you know, it just struck me, listening to music.
It didn't go to the podcast, to the Spotify playlist. I had to pick one, blah, 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 and it's freaked out. That's interesting because it can't link to the Spotify list, I guess, yet. Like I say, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. If I hadn't put that playlist in there, then probably wouldn't have thrown it. It mentioned it, but it didn't know what to do with it.
Music, that's another example of finding inspiration in the unexpected. We don't always have to be glued to business podcasts or industry reports. Sometimes those light bulb moments hit when we let our minds wander, when we open ourselves up to new sounds, new experiences.
Absolutely. It can come from anywhere, anytime. So keep exploring, keep those creative wheels turning, and never underestimate the power of a good playlist to get you there.
And that, my friends, is a wrap on another deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed exploring the world of inspiration with us today. Remember, it's all out there, just waiting to be discovered. Keep those ears open, those minds curious, and never be afraid to borrow a little brilliance from the most unexpected places. Until next time, keep on diving deep.
Okay. Officially blown away. Thank you for listening. If you stuck through it, thank you for listening to the article with me. There is so much more to come in this space, and I cannot wait. I am legitimately excited for what's coming up, and every new tool that seems to be released daily at the moment is just blowing my mind. There was a new release from ChatGPT of, I think it's called 401, something like that anyway, the other day, and it has a thinking methodology, so it actually thinks before it speaks. So rather than actually just stringing a whole lot of text together, it thinks, and it tells you it's thinking, and that is insane. Just the phrase thinking when it comes to AI. Audio is going to be everywhere. We are not going to be able to recognize what is generated and what is real. And I think we need to make sure that we're teaching our kids this really quickly, because if you look at what's coming up with the US election, you could easily be in a position right now where you hear audio from something that is completely not real. But hey, let's look at the positive. I think this is a really, really good tool for the discovery of content. And anyway, go to notebooklm.google.com. It's free to use at the moment. A lot of these Google tools are. Have fun with it, and I look forward to seeing what comes out of it in the future. That was me taking a breath. This is the real me, by the way. Taking another breath and signing out. See ya.